The polls have closed. Look, you can see the doors are shutting. Stephen LeDrew, it is 9 o'clock. Most polls are officially closed.
I'm live looking at a polling station in Etobicoke where the doors have just closed. The votes are now being counted.
And the polls may have just closed, as you can see in this live look, and we just spoke of them, CTV's election team. Boy, they're hard at work, and we now have CTV's projection of tonight's results.
Wow. CTV projects that the NDP will win between 13 and 24 seats, the PCs between 33 and 50 seats, and the Liberals between 37 and 56 seats. Now, what does that mean? The key number is 54. That's the number of seats needed to form a majority government. That means, based on these CTV projections, the Liberals have a chance to form a majority government, although it's a very slim chance. Either the Liberals or the Conservatives could form a minority government.
And Stephen, a big factor for both the Tories and the Liberals will be how well the NDP does tonight. A couple of important notes. Our projection is based on more than just polls. Our team analyzes candidates, incumbencies, local issues, and riding history. And as your votes are being counted, this projection is updated, and we're going to show it to you as we calculate who will win tonight. Let's go live right now to CP24's Carmen Wong, joining us live from the Liberal leader Kathleen Wynne's party headquarters, where Wynne is hoping to be victorious in her first election as leader.
And Ann, I have campaign co-chair here, Tim Murphy. Tim, we just heard polls are closed. Has your candidate done enough tonight?
Well, we think so. I mean, obviously, we laid out a strategy that was about articulating a new activist center for the Liberal Party. Kathleen Wynne was a great candidate and a very credible, ethical leader who I think people understood and got a sense of that. So we're very hopeful, but obviously that's in the hands of the voters.
Do you think you put out a positive plan, enough of a positive plan for people to vote for it?
Absolutely. I mean, it was all based on the budget. So we have, the others actually, you know, would take them months to drop a budget based on their platforms. We have an actual budget in which had a plan that was about investing in people, about investing in infrastructure and transit, creating a great business climate, but also a pension plan so people had a secure retirement.
All right, Tim Murphy, campaign co-chair, thanks so much. And Stephen, back to you in studio.
All right, first results are starting to come in, Stephen.
Let's just go to the results desk.
Makes sense to me.
Well, you know what we see on the screen is we don't have the exact writings just yet, but it looks like the PCs are leading the Liberals 3-2, but these are so early.
Right, we're looking at Mississauga, Brampton South here. Now, this is a Liberal riding. It's also a rematch. Now, you might remember there was a little bit of, I guess, controversy in this where you had Amarjeet Gill asking for a letter apologizing for the whole gas plant scandal, and that did happen. We're also taking a look now at York Southwest. This is one of those rematches where they've gone at each other twice in each election. It was very close. It's very early, these numbers, but Laura Albanese with the lead for the Liberals, hoping to get it. But again, this has gone back and forth 2 times now, very close. So that's one of those ridings we're watching very closely. Now, Etobicoke Lakeshore, another hot riding. Why? Well, you've got Doug Holliday, who won that by-election, the former deputy mayor, taking on his colleague at City Council, Peter Milchin, for the Liberals. Expected to be a 2-party race, already is a 2-party race. It is early, but it's one of those to watch. You have to wonder, will the PCs be able to hang on to that riding? The first time that they've held a 4-1-6, the PCs, since 2000, one of 2 that they've had since 2000. So a very close riding and a very, very close start. And Steve.
Nathan and Stephanie, thank you so much.
And let's just go to George Lagajanis, because he is live from Grimsby, where the PC leader is hoping to end the night as Premier-elect. George.
That's right. Stephen, thanks very much. I'm joined now by Paul Godfrey, President and CEO of Post Media. So, what kind of a campaign? You've seen a lot of politics, you know. They say in politics you either write the menu or you risk being served on it. How did Tim Hudak do? How did he author his own campaign?
Well, I think Tim was very blunt, very straightforward with the public. He told them the truth. He told them that the people of Ontario have to take a bit of medicine to get the economy of the province straightened out. We have a great deficit in this province, and I think although some people didn't like the truth being told, he told it as it is. I think no matter what happens, whoever wins this election, they're going to have to do many of the things that Tim Hudak promised to do. And if Tim Hudak wins this election, he's going to do exactly that.
Do you think he should have emphasized more often that a lot of the stuff that he's proposing there in his platform was all part of the Drummond Report, stuff that all the parties were supposed to adhere to if they really paid attention?
That's right. There's no doubt about that. The Drummond Report, which I remember being interviewed for, and I agree with everything what's in the Drummond Report. He called it the way it is, and I think that whoever, as I said, whoever wins, that they're going to have to go back, pull that report off the shelf, dust it off, and implement things. Otherwise, the credit ratings in the province of Ontario are going to go south, and that's going to mean higher interest rates and a lot more taxes for the people of Ontario.
There's a lot of fear and smear during this campaign. It got pretty nasty near the end. What do you think about that?
Well, Ontario elections and Canadian elections are spending too much time in the gutter as far as I'm concerned. They've taken a page out of American politics. I don't think it's healthy. I think a lot of lies are told. And it's unfortunate because the public gets very confused of who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth.
Party politics. It's not been such a Canadian thing, you're right. There's a lot more partisanship these days.
There is a lot more partisanship, and but I really believe that that what's going to happen starting tomorrow is that all the campaign promises that a lot of people have made are going to suddenly find their way to the shelf and wait to be dusted off in years to come, because this province has to face the fact that times are very, very tough. The belt has to be tightened, the deficit has to be reduced, and those politicians that are not going to do that are going to find themselves in a mess of trouble going forward.
Last thing, obviously pain for gain calculus is something that you're talking about. Do you think that given the nature of the economy in this province, that the ethics question that really was what kind of set off this election about gas plant scandal and everything else, that really went by the wayside? And why do you think there's such apathy? So few people voting these days. What gets them off the couch?
Well, it's always been a problem in these democracies. Municipal elections get less than 40%. Provincial elections get roughly 50 or 55%. Even federal elections, when the whole country's on guard, gets about 65%. That's pretty sad, and we should be getting 80% for a provincial election and the same for a federal election. Sad to commentary, and the strange thing is the people that don't vote have the most to complain about.
Good point. Paul Godfrey, always a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Take care.
All right, that's it from Grimsby at the Mountain Ridge Community Centre, a much more humble venue than the other party leaders. The austerity symbolism not lost on me. Back to you.
George Lagachana speaking to one of the savviest political observers around, Paul Godfrey.
Most definitely. All right, let's find out what's happening results-wise, and they are coming in very quickly. Live to Stephanie and Nathan.
Yeah, fast and furious. We've got Eglinton Lawrence right now, and we're going to show you some of those numbers. Now, this is a riding that's been held by Mike Cole since 1995, so he's a big name, and he's expected to hold on to that seat since he's had it for so long. He won also very big last time, and you can see he's got a pretty strong early lead. Robin Martin, by the way, she's a lawyer, and she's worked sort of behind the scenes with the PC party.
Okay, let's take a look at Durham. This is an open riding, but it was held by the progressive conservative John O'Toole, who resigned. Right now, Liberals in the lead, just one poll reporting so far. Mike Patrick is the conservative, 30-year resident of Bowmanville, and Liberal Granville Anderson, business owner, school trustee there, and the NDP, Derek Spence, is a Labour advocate.
We're looking at Vaughan right now. You might remember there was a bit of a controversy. Remember there was a picture put out, a flyer depicting Tim Hudak laughing as he walks away from a hospital explosion. Well, Liberal candidate Stephen Del Duca, he apologized for that. And, I mean, it's early, but perhaps the voters there have forgiven him. He's held on to that riding. He won last election, and he's off to an early lead. Peter Meff, by the way, he's a city councillor, so he's got a pretty big name in Vaughan, so he's got a shot.
Okay, we're going to Scarborough Southwest. This is a Liberal riding, one poll reporting. Right now, the incumbent, Berardinetti, Lorenzo Berardinetti, you might recognize that name. His wife is Michelle Berardinetti from Toronto City Council. He's in the lead, an early poll, just one reporting again so far, but not expected to be a big change there tonight.
All right, let's move on. We're looking at Mississauga South now. I mean, Charles Sousa, he's a cabinet minister. He's a pretty big name, the Minister of Finance. He is expected to hold on to that seat, but you never know. It is early, but it is somewhat close. Now, the PC candidate, she's a lawyer. She's done some work behind the scenes as well for the PC party, and they're putting their trust in her.
Okay, we're going to Oak Ridge's Markham, where the Liberal incumbent is in the lead after one poll reporting this Helena Jazik. She's a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Health. It's a Liberal riding, as I said. She was first elected in 2007. The contestant there, Farid Wasif, this is a rematch. He is an operator of a local Guardian Houston pharmacy, hoping to get in. He ran back in 2011, no luck.
All right, we're looking at Thornhill right now. This was very close last election, and it's also very close early in this election as well. We're moving on. Okay, we're back to it. Now, Sandra Young-Racco, she's a local city councilor, so she's got a bit of a big name. Gilo won the by-election, and the PCs are hoping she'll win this one, but the Liberals with a pretty solid, although early, lead.
So those are the polls so far. Early results. We're keeping watching.
All right, they're telling quite a story, that's for sure. Nathan and Stephanie, thank you so much.
Quite a story so early. Let's just find out what's going on in the rest of the province. Kyle Christie.
Yeah, Stephen, and we're keeping an eye on what is happening around the province. We're starting to get some early results in from the Ottawa area. This is a look at the area before the election was called. Just a few results coming in right now. A couple of ridings we want to draw your attention to. No major change right now. But Ottawa South, if that sounds familiar, that's because that's Dalton McGuinty's old riding, and there was a by-election there. So let's see what's happening there right now. John Fraser is in the lead right now, holding that seat for the Liberals. But Matt Young, who also ran in the by-election against Fraser, is not too far behind, 97 votes so far. But again, this is only 3 out of 231 polls reporting. Let's take a look at another seat we are watching here in the Ottawa area tonight, and this is Ottawa-Orleans, where, again, as we mentioned before, a close race, one we are keeping our eye on tonight. Ottawa-Orleans, we can tell you, went to the Liberals last time around, and they are trying to hang on to that. No incumbent there, though, so they are trying their best to hang on to this. There we have Marie-France Lalonde right there trying to get this from Andrew Lister. This also a rematch. Lister ran again last time, and although he lost, he did get 40% of the vote. So another one we're keeping our eye on. Back to you.
Kyle Christie, thank you very much. We'll be back to you later on.
Let's go upstairs to the party. And Farah Nasser, what are people saying as they're seeing the early results coming in?
Well, what we're talking about right now is Twitter and Twitter reaction, because people at home have a lot to say. So I'm going to bring in Steve Laterante with Twitter Canada. We're so glad to have you here, by the way. It's wonderful. First, I wanted to talk to you about, is this even trending right now?
It is.
Are people talking about the World Cup, or are they talking about the election?
Yeah, it's a big country, so, you know, an Ontario election is like 1/10 of the attention of most people in the country, you know, that aren't really political, but definitely Ontario has seen a ton of traffic, a lot of tweets, kind of built up over the course of the campaign and exploded on the debate night, really big numbers. And I think tonight, once they start to get results in and we start to know what's happening, it should shoot through the roof.
So as we're seeing early results come, we're going to see more and more
yeah, I
action.
think so, especially once we have a firm decision. I think you'll see a huge volume of tweets.
Let's compare the leaders now. In terms of numbers, who saw the most action on their Twitter feed today?
Today, Tim Hudak actually had the most mentions. So if you're just looking at people who actually used his name in a tweet, he was by far ahead. That doesn't mean they were all positive. Some of them were like, stop Tim Hudak, but they're still talking about him, which of course is important. On the other side of the campaign, the other leaders were, obviously spoken about a lot as well. And the sentiment around all the leaders, the tone of the tweets were predominantly positive, which I found surprising.
That is very surprising.
Yeah.
when you talk
it's a nice way to end, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess. And when you think about all the negativity.
Right.
Now, in terms of the entire campaign, which leader saw the most, I guess, increase in followers? What did we see?
Right, it was a pretty even ground game on Twitter, where they all gained about 20% new followers from when the day the writ was dropped. Tim Hudak picked up a little bit more near the end of the campaign, so whether that means anything or not, I guess we'll find out in the next hour. But just slightly more. So they did drive their follower bases. They were engaging more people. They were getting retweeted. They were paying attention to what was happening there for sure.
Okay, cool. Steve, you're going to stick around with us?
I'll stick around.
Stick around, and we're going to have more reaction from Twitter, because this is what's being talked about right now, that in the World Cup, of course. But our hashtag, CP24ELXN. So make sure you go to our Twitter handle behind me on that screen up there. So use that if you are tweeting tonight, so we can catch up with you. Back to you in the newsroom.
All right, Farah, thank you so much. So Stephen LeDrew and Robin Sears, what do you make of the picture that's being painted in the early results?
Well, they are early results, and looks at the bottom of our board. You can see Liberal leading in 37, PC in 24, NDP 13. Surprised, Robin?
No, I think that's pretty close to what people were saying, that it's going to be very tight between the Liberals and the Tories, and the NDP are, you know, reasonably strong, but not romping, obviously. I guess the two things I would wonder about is, where are these ridings? I mean, are these Toronto ridings, or are they urban Ontario ridings, or more broadly? That would make a big difference.
Well, but it stands to reason that most of the results coming in right now are urban centres. You know, Ottawa we had with Kyle and Kitchener. Leeds, Grenville might not be coming in for a while. And there is Tory strength in Eastern Ontario, and we saw it in Southwestern Ontario in the polls. So it can change. This is the early trend, as you say, and very early, 14 minutes after the polls close.
I think we're going to see a very unusual phenomenon tonight, though, Stephen, and that is that strange local events will defy even the regional, let alone the provincial trend. For example, that Ottawa South number up a moment ago, that should have been a Liberal fortress. It could go Tory tonight.
And there are 4 votes separating the Liberal and the Tory.
Another one, I think, might be Deb Matthews in London, where I'm told that she's in some difficulty. But it won't be a predictor of what's happening in the rest of London or Ottawa, let alone Ontario.
But, Robin, could that make a difference in such a close race? Well, I was going to say a close race, but we're looking at right now, they changed numbers, Liberal 40, PC 26. That's not close.
Yeah, but they're bouncing around so much tonight. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is that in the last race, 2011, we had 19 seats, I believe, below 10% as a plurality. 9 of them were Liberal seats.
So what does that mean? I mean,
it means that the Liberals have a lot more thin victory margin seats.
Which means they're vulnerable in some of those seats tonight. So you're saying that it's well, we know it's very early, but you're also saying don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we could be down to the last 10 polls in some of these ridings to determine the outcome.
Are you saying that you and I are going to have a late evening here with everybody else in hand?
I'm saying to everybody, go and have a nap, come back around midnight.
Come back around midnight. No, stay tuned on this one.
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
He's going to be back in a few minutes. Back to you, Ann.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Jackie Crandall's is looking at Brampton and Bramalea, and right now we find her live checking out what's happening with Jagmeet Singh. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Ann. Yeah, we're in the riding of Bramley-Gore-Malton. Last time we were chatting, it was a little dull. The music is now loud. The supporters are starting to filter in. I want to point out the decor of the room real quick. They have orange napkins on the table. They have orange candies for supporters to snack on. Of course, the orange signs, the orange T-shirts. Even the lights are orange. Any doubt this was an NDP supporter party? Don't know more. I have Prabjot with me right now. You are on Jagmeet Singh's team. I want to talk a little bit about this margin of 2,000 votes in the 2011 election that separated Jagmeet from the Liberal incumbent. Kathleen Wynne in the last couple of days has been encouraging NDP supporters to throw their support behind her because she says a vote for the NDP is a vote for Tim Hudak. Do you think that that is going to factor into the results here in this riding tonight?
No, actually, I think that will affect the percentage of how much he wins. Because true supporters of NDP, they should think of what he has done in the past year. Since he hasn't been elected, he has done a lot for the community. He has had many community events. He attends not only him, despite him being a Sikh, he's multicultural, he believes in Islam, and I also recently have seen one of his videos where he allowed the Muslim brothers to come into his community office and do a prayer. And from being a supporter of Jagmeet Singh, I think they should really focus on what he has done over the year, not just about what a different party has done.
So his activism as well as his community outreach, you think, is going to really benefit him in this election?
Yeah, because obviously in election time, obviously you're going to get attack ads. That's natural. It's not something new. And attack ads are not always true. They're what the person believes. Like, I could make an attack and be like, yeah, Jagmeet Singh is this, that. But really, it's just what I believe. They should think about what he has done and, like, what he's going to do, right?
Let his record speak for itself. Thank you so much for chatting with us. We're going to continue to monitor not only the party vibe here in Bramley-Gore-Malton, keeping a close eye on the results in Brampton-Springdale as well. Back to you for now.
And keeping a close eye on results in the GTA, we're live to our results desk with Nathan and Stephanie.
Hey, thanks, Sam. We're going to look at Brampton-Springdale right now, and this might stand out because it's one of those open ridings. Remember, Linda Jeffries decided to run for the mayor of Brampton. Harinder Malley, now, her father was an MP for a very long time. She's got an early lead, and they're hoping that she holds on to that riding. the competition is expected to come from the PCs, but right now the NDP, they're holding strong in second place.
Let's go to a lone PC riding. At least it was. The incumbent, Christine Elliott, the wife of the late Jim Flaherty. Elliott has held this riding since Flaherty resigned in 2006 federally. She was elected in a by-election, beating out the Liberal by well over 1,300 votes. So right now, 3 polls reporting Christine Elliott in the lead. This is expected to hold strong for the PCs tonight. So again, just 3 polls in that so far.
We're looking at Oakville right now, and Kevin Flynn, he won big last election, and he's got a pretty big early lead. Now, prior to getting into municipal or provincial politics, he was actually a city councilor for a very long time, so he was very well known in Oakville. Not a surprise that he's got the early lead. The PC's Larry Scott, he came in from the banking sector, and he's running for the very first time.
Okay, we're going to go to Richmond Hill, where there's a rematch. The Liberal cabinet minister, Reza Maridi, versus Vic Gupta, the progressive conservative candidate. 5 polls reporting there. The Liberal incumbent in the lead so far. And this is the Minister of Research and Innovation was Reza Maridi's role in the Wynne government. Will they hold it? Looks like they're expected to, at least, Nathan, with this rematch.
We're going to move on to Halton right now. Now, when you think of Halton, you got to think of Ted Chudley. He's been there for many years, and his 5th election, although when he wins, it's been kind of close of late. The competition coming from Indira Naidu-Harris, you might recognize her face. She used to work at Omni for a while. She ran last election, lost, but didn't do too badly for the Liberals, and she's running again, and they're hoping that maybe she can turn things around.
Okay, in Scarborough Centre, we have 8 polls reporting, and the Liberal incumbent, Brad Dogood, who is the Minister of Training, Colleges and Universities in the Wynne government, he won convincingly in the last 3 elections, and he is well in the lead right now against the PC candidate, David Ramillo, with the small business owner. He works in transportation services. NDP candidate, Carol Baker, legal assistant, prominent Labour law firm, and she is a dedicated Labour advocate, and she's held several positions in the OFL, but right now looks good for Brad Dogood. Anne, over to you.
All right, Stephanie and Nathan, thank you so much. We're live to Kyle Christie now with a look beyond the GTA. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Anne. Yeah, we're starting to get some numbers from the London area, so we want to draw your attention to what the London area looked like at the time this election was called. So we want to focus right now on London West, London North Centre, which is Deb Matthews' riding, and Robin was just talking about that. Also London Fanshawe. This is what it looked like when the election was called. How does it look like right now? Some early numbers starting to come in, showing the NDP losing a seat, the Liberals gaining, but Deb Matthews still safe right now. So let's take a closer look at those numbers, some of those results right now. London West, as mentioned, we have the NDP still in the lead right there. Peggy Sattler, 128 votes, 86 for Jeff Bennett. Still early, though, 5 of those 263 polls reporting. And now Deb Matthews riding. We mentioned, Robin Sears mentioned that she may be in a bit of trouble tonight. Not so far. 167 votes for Deb Matthews tonight, with the PCs in second. 123 votes for Nancy Branscombe. Again, this is 9 out of 224 ridings. And London, you may remember, is also one of those areas that the Liberals were talking about this week, where some of those voters were given the wrong information as to where to vote. Also want to mention right now that London Fanshawe is hanging on to the seat. The NDP is hanging on to that London Fanshawe seat. Back with more results coming up. Back to you.
All right, Kyle Christie, thanks so much. We're live now to Carmen Wong. And Carmen, we've got a man who's gone from municipal, hoping to be federal, skipping the provincial level of things.
Yeah, that's right. I've got Adam Bond here. He's a federal Liberal candidate for Trinity Spadina. Adam, you've been watching this election pretty closely. Any sort of defining moments that stick out to you?
Well, the NDP vote is collapsing in Toronto. It's very soft. When you're on the doorstop and you're knocking on doors, as we have been for the last few weeks, there are a lot of disgruntled New Democrats who looked at the Kathleen Wynne budget, looked at Kathleen Wynne's performance, and are astonished that the NDP went to the polls. And the NDP campaign has not been helpful to a lot of the downtown New Democrat MPPs, and it'll be a very interesting set of results tonight. In fact, I think it's been a long time since the downtown played such a critical role in deciding who would become the next premier, and I think you can see the Liberals pick up some surprise seats across the downtown as a result of what can only be described as disgruntled New Democrats.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. And Stephen, I'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, Carmen, thank you very much. Back to the results. Steph and Nathan.
And you know, we were just talking about Scarborough Centre. Well, we have our first officially elected tonight. Brad Dogood, the Liberal cabinet minister, re-elected. He was the Minister of Training Colleges and Universities in Scarborough Centre. That contest is over. He was able to take it again after winning it convincingly in the last 3 elections. And you can see he was well ahead of his NDP and PC contenders in this race. So the Liberals hang on to Scarborough Centre tonight. Anne.
All right, we go live next to Arda Zakari. And Arda, what are you hearing?
Well, we're hearing that Mitzi Hunter right now is leading, not elected yet, but is leading, and the energy here is very positive. But let's remember, back in 2013, this is a Liberal stronghold, and Mitzi Hunter was able to keep this a Liberal riding, but only by 1,200 votes. It was very close. The PCs were trailing right behind her. And with me is Lawrence. Lawrence, you are the president of Scarborough-Guildwood Riding Association, and Kadira, you are a volunteer. So tell me, last year during the by-election, so close. She's in the lead now, but how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very excited. Listen, I think Mitzi and Kathleen had made a strong case as to why they should return back to Queen's Park. And so I'm very excited about this race.
Are you worried at all, Kadira? Last time it was 1,200 votes. I mean, so close.
I'm not. I mean, we have an amazing candidate. We had millions of volunteers come out last time and this time. So, I mean, I'm confident just like last time that this is going to be a Liberal riding.
A lot of work has gone into this. So what does it take to put on a campaign like this?
Oh, a lot of volunteers, a lot of work, obviously. And so we are excited and we're prepared for this. We were prepared for this election from the by-election. So we're ready.
Kadira, you're a volunteer. Talk to me about the experience you had.
For me, it was amazing to see the whole thing come together from an empty campaign room, to see how grassroots it is, to see it one by one, people bringing in things and bringing in food and seeing the community come together. So, I mean, it's amazing.
Great. Thank you both so much. So we're expecting lots of volunteers here, and around 9:30, we're expecting Liberal candidate Mitzi Hunter to come in. Back to you.
All right, Arda, thank you very much. Let's go live to Stephen Ledrew. Stephen.
Hi, Ann. Thank you very much. I'm joined by George Smitherman, Frank Cleese again, and Howard Hampton. Thanks for joining us. And let's just put up that board because we have news from Andrea Horvath that's coming up right now. We have the numbers there. We are saying that she is reelected. Not a lot of surprise there, Howard.
Not a lot of surprise. She might be the most popular political figure in the whole Hamilton area. And she has some pretty long coattails in the Hamilton area, so no surprise.
And so the numbers we're looking at right now, 518 to the next is 263 for the Liberals and 153 for the Tories. So you're absolutely right. I mean, no surprise, and it wasn't anything there. But are you surprised? So we're estimating now the NDP either declared or winning in 17 ridings.
No, I'm not surprised at that. I think that New Democrats have a pretty strong foothold in a number of ridings across the province now, and the NDP universe continues to grow in the sense the number of people who say, I'm thinking about voting for New Democrats.
Okay, now let's just, the three of us, look at this new projections board right there. Liberals between 41-57, Tories between 31-46, NDP between 15 and 24. Frank Cleese.
Yes. This is the most stressful part of the evening, Stephen, when we're seeing reports coming in, and we don't know which part of the province they're from, and
Correct.
we don't know which part of the riding the reports are from that we see.
Well, it's good to put that in
the double faint hope clause.
No, look, I mean,
no, wait a second. It's still saying that the Liberals could end up with 41 and the Tories with 46.
That's
yes.
right. And so I'm saying I'm going to remain optimistic here that the people of this province will make the right decision and that they will judge a government, quite frankly, that has betrayed them. So I'm encouraged by the numbers. Let's see where they take us.
But I'm sure that you're encouraged by them, but you're somewhat surprised that it's not going to be a Tory majority. At least that works.
Let me put it this way. I'm disappointed that it won't.
Okay. George Smitherman.
Well, earlier I said that I thought that tonight we would make history with the first successful passing of the torch of leadership to a party leader who manages to maintain government. And of course it is early. These numbers will bounce around a lot, but I think that the early trend is a very positive one, and it's because I think that people in Ontario, like Kathleen Wynne, there obviously is a recognition that the government has made missteps and misdeeds and the like, but fundamentally I think that she's run well, and I hope that these results firm up, as I anticipate that they will.
So it really shows that the personal popularity of Kathleen Wynne outstepped the problems that people had with the scandal.
Well, I think my analysis is that she is a person that people view as having strong personal integrity.
And Howard, Howard, let's just bring you in on this, because there's been a bit of controversy throughout the NDP campaign. Certainly when it's, I think it's 32 stalwarts said that they disagree with the way the leader is taking the party. She was bringing it more to the center.
I would hardly call them stalwarts.
Okay.
Some of those people claim to be New Democrats. I've never been able to find their name on the membership list. And some, frankly, may have been stalwarts 20 years ago. But
no longer.
Haven't seen them around too frequently in the last 20 years.
Okay, we've got a board up right now saying that Kathleen Wynne is re-elected in Don Valley West. Not really a surprise there. To you, George?
No, not a surprise. An excellent constituency MPP.
And there you go, Frank. There's something for everybody here tonight. Yeah, Tim Hudak, re-elected.
And that's no surprise. I'm waiting for the board to say that Tim Hudak is the next premier. But we're going to have to wait a while for those results. So.
Well, possibly 4 years.
Stay tuned, George.
Let's just talk about that. If it's a minority, either conservative or liberal, are we going to have 4 years, George, in your opinion?
Well, I guess I was just as I said that, the number went up to 54. So
well,
I was.
You don't have to answer the question.
I was obviously hinting at the prospect, which is yet real, that we'll have a Liberal majority government tonight.
Howard.
It's far too early to predict anything. If it is a minority, they won't last 4 years. There's just so many things that get in the way. And so many issues that arise. Minorities don't last 4 years.
I just want to point out here that George Smithman can hardly contain his glee. I mean, you're just sitting here.
That's just because I haven't seen Howard in so long.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So renew this old acquaintance here. And so, Frank, you're waiting to hear the other. You're not giving up hope yet.
I'm not giving up hope, and I committed that this panel would remain nonpartisan over the course of the evening. I can just tell you that George Smitherman...
Other than that first segment.
George Smitherman is a guy who actually was at the root of a whole lot of these scandals. He got out in time. He's now let Kathleen Wynne take the lead. And I think the problem here is, and I agree with Howard, if it is a minority government, it won't last long, because I think people will wise up to the fact. If it happens to be another Wynne government, it won't take a matter of more than a few months to realize that they made a mistake. And I think at the end of the day, it may take a little longer if that's the case, but the people of this province, they'll have their time to say
I'm going to interrupt you right now.
Enough.
Gentlemen, we're going back to Ann Romer. Thank you.
We have breaking election news. CP24 is making the call. CP24 is declaring a Liberal government. It's not clear if it is a majority or minority, but CP24 declares a Liberal government. Stephen Ledrew.
Well, let's just come back to our panel. I mean, a Liberal government, a lot of people said it simply could not happen because, Frank, you've been working on the scandals, first Orange, then the gas plants, and what does that say to you?
Can I put it this way? I really think what is happening is that the people in this province are making decisions not as citizens, but as consumers. As citizens, they would have made a decision to say, we have to punish a government that has failed us. But as consumers, they're saying, give us as much as we can get for as little as possible in the shortest amount of time. That's short-term thinking. And I believe that the people of this province will regret this decision. We'll see what happens. But I hope that at the very least this is a minority government so that we can be back at the polls and set this province right.
Howard, the significance of CTV saying it's a Liberal government, when re-elected?
Oh, I think a minority Liberal government is certainly possible. I think one of the things Kathleen Wynne did, and it's always wise to do in elections, was to campaign on hope. Now, as Frank says, some of that hope may prove to be very superficial. But a campaign based upon giving people hope, I think, usually wins over fear and can often win over anger. And I think, that was a good strategy on her part. Now, given the state of the economy in Ontario, and given the fact that we have not been able to shake off the recession, Whether any of those hopes that she campaigned on can be realized is quite a different story.
Okay, George, I know you have things to say. I'm going to have to come back to you and back to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Let's go live right now to Carmen Wong at the Sheraton Center, the Liberal Party headquarters. CP24 declaring a Liberal government. Carmen, what's the reaction there?
Well, Anne, I'm going to tell you, this room is still pretty empty right now. They're waiting for volunteers who are pulling the vote in those ridings to get back in here. No doubt, based on our call, going to be pretty happy. Now, I don't want to say Kathleen Wynne has been underestimated, but maybe she's not always been seen as a front runner. For example, she was first elected into office in 2003 when she beat then Cabinet Minister David Turnbull. And then, you know, she really did a big job beating John Tory in 2007. He was then PC leader, and Kathleen Wynne ended up beating him as well. She went on to the Liberal leadership, where she was not the front runner at first, beating a lot of people, becoming a Liberal leader in January of 2013. More reaction from here. This is starting to fill in behind me. We're going to bring you more. Back to you for now.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go live right now to George Logojanis for reaction from PC supporters.
Thanks very much, Anne. I've got Will Stewart, the director of media with the PCs. So is Queen's Park broken? How do you bounce back from what we're hearing now, a Liberal government?
Well, I actually think Queen's Park is broken. I think that we're on the wrong path in Ontario. I think we put forward a positive plan that talked about change, a plan that talked about cleaning things up at Queen's Park, and we're really proud of the campaign that we ran here today. And Tim Hudak did everything that he had to do out there today to try to take his message of change to Ontarians.
Was it a platform, a policy problem? Why wasn't your message resonating enough with voters to get out there and look at the problems that came out of that Liberal government and make it easy for them to vote PC?
Well, I think it's a good question to ask. I think we put forward a positive plan. The other two parties spent their entire time attacking that plan, and now we're going to have to see maybe perhaps what they're going to do and what they're going to actually bring to the table when they don't have our plan to attack.
Elections, even though it may break down very similar in terms of seats, it does change the dynamic at the old Pink Palace there. How are things going to be different now? Are they?
Well, I don't know. I think we'll have to see what comes back at the end of the day. Could be the status quo of what we had before, and we'll be there keeping them holding them to account for all the scandals and mismanagement that they'll continue to be exposed.
Will Stewart, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, Anne, we're just waiting for Tim Hudak to arrive. For now, it's back to you.
All right, thank you very much. And we're back to Stephen LeDrew. And at this point, Stephen, a Liberal government, but we don't know whether it's minority or majority.
Let's just go to George Smitherman, former Deputy Premier of Ontario and Liberal.
Well, the thing I just wanted to say in response to what Frank said, he talked about consumers, and I think perhaps part of what's represented in this vote is that Frank's been focused on the scandal beat. Politics in the legislature always focuses on one or two things. That's what it's got an energy for, and you follow that, etc. But the people out there who are taking their kids to school or their parents to health care know the government is about a lot more of those things. And I think there's notwithstanding the problems that this government has had, which are well known and have been exhaustively put forward in the campaign, I think there's more to it than that. And I think that some of this is an acknowledgement that there's capacity and a support for public services in a Liberal Party and in a Liberal government. And I think that people have voted for that in part tonight.
Frank?
So Stephen, what people apparently are not getting is that while the Liberals are promising all of these public services at great debt, and they're driving our children and our grandchildren into debt, and somebody has to pay for it. More than $14 billion of interest payments every year, and they've re-elected a government that's promising even more of that.
So did the message from the Conservatives not get out, or do people not care about that message?
You know what, I'm going to say two things. Perhaps we could have done better in terms of communicating the message. I don't know. We'll leave that to the pundits to decide. But I do believe this, that we are at a stage in this province today where the sense of entitlement is now overtaken by a sense of justice and what's right. And I think it is not in the best interest of our province. The people of this province tonight should have held this scandal-ridden government to account. They should have fired cabinet ministers. They should have fired the premier. Instead, they've been rewarded with another term in government. You know what? People get the government that they vote for and that they deserve, and I don't like what's ahead for us.
And that they will. Howard, what does this do for Andrea Horwath? I mean, we're looking right now at 20 seats, respectable, certainly respectable, but it's not what other people anticipated.
Well, look, when you're into an election like this, where 100 votes here, 100 votes there, can make a huge difference. At the end of the night, we may end up with a majority government or a minority government, and the difference in votes overall maybe 50,000 votes.
Let's just look at what's on the screen now, because they're saying, of course, there's no hope for a Conservative government. The minimum the Liberals would get would be 47, so there's still a possibility that'd be a minority, but it's clear it's going to be a Liberal. Maximum for the Tories, 39, could have been down to 29. And, I mean, that would be something, if you're looking at the NDP, the lowest Tory, 29, and NDP, 23. That's a realignment for the voting populace.
Well, look, I don't want to be tread in Frank's turf too much, but
go ahead.
I mean, I don't understand. I didn't understand the Conservative campaign. What Tim Hudak did is he made his campaign sort of the focus of criticism, and I don't understand the strategy behind doing that. There was lots to concentrate in terms of this Liberal government, in terms of saying this has been handled badly. This looks like a scandal. This looks like $1 billion down the drain. And simply to say to people, we're going to stop this. And so I think Mr. Hudak made a mistake by making his campaign sort of the center of discussion, rather than the mistakes, the errors, and the malfeasances of the former Liberal government.
Do you think he intended to do that, or was that an unintentional product?
No. When you come out and you make a statement like that, I'm going to fire 100,000 people in the broader public sector, that is going to take center stage no matter where you are. And I think it was a mistake. And I think it now works both ways.
George, weigh in here.
Well, I agree with a lot of what Howard has said, which is pretty rare, I have to admit. But what I think is this,
I'd be worried.
I know, of course.
I'd be very worried.
We'd both be frightened by that, no doubt. But I am supporting Olivia Chow. But I think that Tim Hudak ran his campaign, and he telegraphed his campaign. And this provided a strategic opportunities for the Liberals to use the budget to pinch the NDP and to create a very sharp contrast with the Conservatives. And I think tonight the people of Ontario, at least so far in these results, seem to have made quite a clear statement.
There's no question about that one. Thanks very much. We'll be back to you, and back to you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Let's go live to our results desk, and particularly here in the GTA, Nathan and Stephanie.
Well, yeah, we're going to take a look at Ajax Pickering, and this was a Liberal riding, but there were great PC hopes to pick this up tonight, and I guess it sort of says it all. Joe Dixon re-elected for the Liberals. This was a riding that had a really strong history of Conservatives. With we had from this riding famous Conservatives Jim Flaherty and Janet Ecker. And the PCs really had to pick this riding up tonight to make some gains, obviously, and that just didn't happen.
All right, looking at Willowdale now, and another Liberal winner, David Zimmer. He's a cabinet minister, and he's been there since '03, so you knew it was going to be tough for him to lose that seat. He holds on to it. As for the PC party, they were hoping that sort of this newcomer, Michael Seachy, would do all right, and he did okay. He's worked sort of behind the scenes as a policy advisor for the PC party running there, but of course losing.
Okay, in Richmond Hill, the Liberal incumbent re-elected. This was a rematch between Reza Moridi and Vic Gupta, but the Liberals hung on to it. They hang on to it again in Richmond Hill. A Liberal win tonight.
All right, moving on now, we're going to take a look at Oakville next. Let's see the numbers here. And Kevin Flynn, once again, he's won it 3 times now since '03. Strong candidate there. It was, I guess, a little tough for some of those newcomers running against him for the very first time. Resume is not very thick compared to Kevin Flynn, and he holds on to that seat for the Liberals.
Okay, in Markham Unionville, re-elected Michael Chan. He is the minister, was responsible for the Pan Am Games at the time the election was called, and he has taken that riding again. The NDP, Nadine Hawkins, she was the younger sister of the late NDP MPP Peter Cormos, so she gave it a try, but didn't show up very well for this one. Again, Michael Chan taking it for the Liberals again in Markham Unionville.
All right, looking at Mississauga South now, we got another winner, Charles Sousa. You know he's the Minister of Finance, so he's a cabinet minister. He's been there for a while, very high profile, very outspoken. Not a surprise that he's held on to that riding for the Liberals. All right, and Stephen, back to you.
And it appears it is a very big night for the Liberal Party. Let's go live right now to Kyle Christie to take a look at what's happening beyond the GTA.
Yeah, and we have part of that Liberal story to show you right now. Let's take a look at what's happening in Kitchener-Waterloo. This is what it looked like before the election was called. We have Cambridge, PC, Kitchener Centre. This was one we were really watching tonight. You'll remember earlier I mentioned in the last election it was just 300 votes between the Liberals and the Conservative. Let's take a look at the actual results. We can tell you right now, Kitchener Centre, Diane Verneil has won for the Liberals. That Kitchener Centre riding has gone the way of the winning way, I should say, federally and provincially for the last 30 years. And as you can see, it did the same thing tonight. Diane Verneil, former CTV journalist, winning there tonight. Kitchener-Waterloo, Catherine Fife leading right now for the NDP. We've seen this really go back and forth between the Liberals and PCs tonight, but Fife picked up this seat in a by-election. We can also mention a little tidbit of information. Catherine Fife's mother is running for the NDP in Peterborough tonight, Sheila Wood. Cambridge, big change here so far. We're keeping an eye on this. Not elected yet, but certainly leading. The Liberals leading here, Catherine McGarry. This is 42 out of 252 polls over Rob Leone, the PC candidate there, the PC incumbent, I should say. And Michael Harris, not the Michael Harris, but leading for the Progressive Conservatives in Kitchener-Conestoga over Wayne Wright. Another one we're keeping a close eye on tonight. Kitchener-Waterloo, certainly a lot happening there. Some big stories developing for the Liberal Party in the region of Waterloo tonight. Back to you.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Anika Elliott is next live in Etobicoke Lakeshore. What's going on there, Anika?
Well, and we are here at Legends 1184 Queensway, where supporters of Doug Holliday have gathered at this pub, this bar. Now, of course, as you mentioned, just declaring that news that Doug Holliday has, in fact, been defeated by Liberal Peter Milchin. I've got actually now with me, this is Aaron Gilmore from the Mimico Residents Association. We were going to be speaking a little bit before just to talk about the plight of the association and the fact that now you're going to have to work with Peter Milchin moving forward.
Yes, and the Mimico Residents Association has an open communication with all candidates. We work very well with our municipal councillor, and we look forward to working with Peter Milchin.
And so what are some of the core issues in regard to how people feel about condo development and the continuing expansion now that, as we mentioned, Doug Holliday has been defeated?
I think there's a general feeling in Mimico that the residents don't have much say in what type of buildings, the building heights, the density at all, and there's that feeling that maybe the next person we deal with could really kind of champion the residents in Mimico and have a little more control over the building heights and things like that. Particularly, we're looking forward to to be better served by transit. There's thousands of people coming in the area. How are we going to move these people around? And if you've ever tried to get out of the city, into the city, now from the lakeshore onto the Gardner, it's absolutely packed. So whether it be another GO train stop or
understandable, Aaron, of course. And yes, now again, as we've been mentioning, Doug Holliday, PC candidate, has in fact been defeated at Etobicoke Lakeshore, and this is, of course, Liberal Peter Milchin. He has now won that riding. It was a close call all throughout the day. We were at the polling stations, and of course we'll continue to update you on the situation and what's happening here at this gathering with Doug Holliday supporters. Back to you.
All right, Anika, thanks. Up to Farah Nasser at our party, and I'm sure that there's a great deal of reaction to the results that we're seeing right now.
Oh, yes. People are glued to the screen, and I'm glued to the Twitter screen because Twitter has just exploded. Let's bring in Steve Laterante, who is from Twitter Canada. What have you seen in terms of reaction? Positive, negative, neutral?
Right, so I'm monitoring the OnPoly hashtag,
Okay.
and it's scrolling by on my screen faster than I can keep up with it, and I would show it, except you never know what's going to come on, and it could be any number of things, because Twitter is doing what Twitter does best right now, where you're getting like instant reaction. People are disgusted, people are delighted, they're happy, they're sad, they're all these things, and they're tweeting it out. So you're seeing this really sort of visceral reaction, a lot of surprise. Nobody thought it would be called this quick, and certainly not in this direction. So So that everybody's kind of venting that out, and I think in the next couple of minutes you'll start to see them looking forward to being like, what's next? Where does it go? You know, we know this now. What can we know later?
That's the cool thing about Twitter too, because you have questions come up, right? So what are questions that people are asking?
Yeah, I think you know the fate of Tim Hudak, the fate of Andrea Horvath. You know, these are the sorts of things they're wondering about the polls. You know, what did they tell us? What didn't they? I think if you saw traffic on Twitter over the last little while, you know, the mentions of Kathleen Wynne were plentiful, but they were also positive. You couldn't say that about Tim Hudak. Right. You know, did that matter? Maybe it did. You know, so we'll start to wonder about those sorts of things and let people discuss them and look for other leaders to weigh in and see where it goes.
Okay, thanks for your insights. I really appreciate it. I want to take you over here now. I want to also talk to another guest. This is a familiar face to some of you. This is Fred Hahn from CUPE, the largest union, right, in the province.
Indeed, yeah.
So tell me now, we have a Liberal government. We know that. Minority, majority. What are the differences for you and this outcome? Because I know there was a big Stop Hudak movement, but you also endorsed the NDP. So your reaction tonight?
Well, look, there is a difference between a minority and a majority government. In a minority government, no matter who forms government, they have to work with someone else. If the Liberals get a majority, I'm quite concerned that we're going to see what traditionally the Liberals have done. They campaign from the left and then they get a majority and they govern from the right. But I'm going to take Kathleen Wynne at her word. She campaigned as a progressive, and this is going to give her the opportunity to prove that. Okay,
well, we will continue to get reaction from this party as it's still going on here, but I'll send it back to you guys in the newsroom for now.
All right, Farah, thanks so much. We're live next to Arda Zakarian with Mitzi Hunter's headquarters, party headquarters. So what's the reaction there?
Everyone here has been cheering since it was announced that Mitzi Hunter is elected. The whole place has, and now it's kind of silent because they're all shocked, but it's such positive energy right here. Right behind me is lots of Mitzi Hunter supporters, and with me is Member of Parliament John McKay for Scarborough-Guildwood. So talk to me about this win.
Well, I'm pretty excited. I'm very pleased for Mitzi. I'm very pleased for the Wynne government. I think that the Liberals are back in the game. I think there's a knock-off effect. I'm the last freestanding MP between downtown Toronto and Kingston. It looks like I think that we're going to have a little more company of Liberals in Ottawa. And if I'm a Conservative MP in the GTA, I'm getting a little nervous because I think there is a knock-off effect. You know, Mr. Trudeau campaigned in Nova Scotia. He won. He campaigned in Quebec. They won. He campaigned here in Ontario. They won. So I think there is a potential effect on the federal scene.
Thank you so much, John. And with me is Maurice. Maurice, you are Mitzi Hunter's brother. Talk to me first. How does it feel that you won?
Oh, it feels absolutely fantastic. You know, I know Mitzi's a very hard worker, and I know that these people are in very good hands. You know, I personally think she's a little bit too honest, but they're in great hands, and I can't be more proud of her.
You know, all the candidates have come to Canada from other countries, and it's reflective of this area too. Scarborough-Guildwood is full of new Canadians. Mitzi and your family came from Jamaica. Talk to me about why you guys came to Canada.
You know, my parents decided that Canada would be the best country to come to. And a lot of her family, some went to England, some went to the United States, and later on in life they decided that they made a mistake. So, you know, being in Canada worked out fantastic. Her family's done well, very successful. Everything is fantastic.
Thank you so much, and Mitzi Hunter will be through those doors any moment now. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Arda. We're live to Kyle Christie with a look at what's happening in the Ottawa area right now. Kyle.
Yeah, that's right. We have some final results coming out of the Ottawa area right now, and so let's take a look over here. Real-time data coming in. So this is a look at what Ottawa looked like before the election was called, and take a look at how it looks right now. No change. That's because everything stays the same in Ottawa. Let's take a closer look at those results. Coming in right now from Ottawa Centre, elected, we have right there Yasser Naqvi once again in Ottawa Centre. He is the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services. So again, you see right there, elected there. Ottawa Orleans, once again, Marie-France Lalonde elected there, beating Andrew Lister. This was a rematch, but she gets it once again. And then also, as mentioned, there are 6 ridings within Ottawa. Nothing is changing here tonight in Ottawa South. We have John Fraser once again beating Matt Young from the Progressive Conservatives, and we have right there elected. Let's move along now to the other ridings within the Ottawa area, where again tonight, coming back to Queen's Park for another session from Ottawa Vanier, it's Madeleine Melieu. You can see right there, and this was quite the win so far with these polls reporting over Martin Forget. Over 7,000 of those votes coming in. And here's one that was really up for debate, one we were keeping a close eye on tonight. Bob Chiarelli, the former mayor of Ottawa, wasn't sure how he was going to do against PC's Randall Denley, but he took it back once again. And no surprise here, Lisa MacLeod winning once again for the Progressive Conservatives in Nepean Carleton. A lot of people saying that she could be the next leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, and perhaps that's a conversation they'll be having in the days ahead. Back to you.
Interesting point made, Kyle Christie. Thank you. We're live next to Stephen LeDrew, and it appears that the Liberals are poised to form a majority government.
Hasn't been declared yet. You're absolutely right, Ann. But let's go back with George Smitherman, Howard Hampton, Frank Cleese. Howard, the NDP, you keep making up there. We're going up to 21 now for your former party. Well, I guess you're... Can't say your former party. It's still your party.
My party, yes. Yeah. It's still my party. Yes.
I mean, is that exciting to you, 21?
It's good in the sense that I think seats that we worked very hard to win in by-elections, we seem to be holding. We may have lost a couple. I think it's also good in that we're making inroads in places where we've been knocking on the door for a long time. We lost Oshawa, in 1995.
Years ago, yeah.
And to get it back, places like Sudbury are looking good. So. For New Democrats, there'll be some misgivings in some ridings, but overall, I think people will say we've done a good job.
We have yet to see the popular vote, but let me ask you this straight up. Is Andrea safe in her leadership?
I think it would be I don't think there'll be any challengers. Okay. There may be some unhappy people, but there are always some unhappy people in political parties. But I can't see any challengers.
They don't call it a party for nothing. Frank, please, let's just talk about your leader. Is he safe?
Tim Hudak's going to have to make that decision himself. We have a system within our government within our party rather, that following every election, there is a leadership review.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim...
And he's lost 2 now.
And Tim will have to make that decision in terms of what he takes to the people of our party, and it will be up to the party to make that decision.
So we're looking right at the cusp now. I mean, majority is 54. It looks like 57. There was up higher. It may go down a little bit. So it's pretty well certain, though, it's going to be a small majority. But a majority. George?
Well, I think that I practically predicted it earlier. You know, I think it is interesting to watch the results. We are going to see these numbers bounce around. But there's several seats where the Liberals are actually trailing just by 50 votes here or there. I'm astonished to see Liberals doing so well in ridings like Durham riding. It's in the GTA, but it's extremely rural. John O'Toole, Frank's former colleague, has retired there, and it's an example of a place where even this late into the evening, the Liberals are in play there, which is very interesting. Kind of like Howard's point about territory that maybe you've waited a long time to try and pick up and you've been working away at, and tonight some of it's coming true for people.
Let's change this discussion a little bit and talk about what the impact of this is going to be on the federal election in Ontario that's coming up next year. Because there's always been that practice in Ontario of going, Liberal Tory. Are the federal Tories resulting? Oh, actually, sorry, we'll have to leave that one breaking. Ann, back to you.
Stephen, thank you. We have breaking election news. CP24 is making the call. CP24 declares a Liberal majority government. Once again, CP24 declares a Liberal majority government. Here's a live look at Liberal Party headquarters just down the street at the Sheraton Centre. It's just beginning to, they understand it. They've got it. Stephen LeDrew.
No, they got it. Well, I'm sure that the leader's going to be coming in very, very soon. But let's just come back to the panel then, talk about it. I mean, we know now, Liberal majority government, what does that say to the federal Tories about the campaign coming up? George,
you know, to me it says that the brand is strong. That notwithstanding the challenges of government, transitioning to a new leader and all of that, that the Liberal brand is resilient. And I rather suspect that some of the popularity of Justin Trudeau is reflected in the strength of the Liberal brand tonight.
Let's just go right to that Liberal brand headquarters right now. Carmen Wong is there. Carmen?
Oh, hi there. So as soon as we heard the call, everyone had a big cheer here in this room behind me. They're listening closely, riding to riding now to see who the winners are. I've got Amanda Albero here. She's a Liberal strategist. I know what you're going to say probably, but were you surprised?
You know what, we were. I'm going to be totally honest with you. We were a little surprised. We would have been happy with a minority. We would have felt pretty privileged to have that opportunity to govern again. The fact that we now have a majority means that, and so much of this credit is credit to Kathleen Wynne and her incredible leadership, but it means that we can actually move things forward. And I think the province really wants that as well. Nobody wants to be tossed back into an election.
And moving forward, what's the tone that she's going to adopt with the opposition parties in terms of governing? Is she going to continue along the same path that she's been doing?
I think so. I think Kathleen has a collaborative tone about her. I think in all ways she would like everybody to come together and move this province forward. I think there will be some big questions about leadership around the two other parties, and that's things that they'll have to contend with. But now she has a mandate. This province has got behind her, and she's going to be able to move.
Amanda, thank you so much. And I'm sure you can hear behind me the loud cheers. Kathleen Wynne is in this hotel right now with her family. They're watching the results. I'll send it back to you for now.
Carmen, thank you very much. Back here with our provincial panel. And Howard, the NDP, they're stuck at only 21 seats.
That's 3 times better than he got.
No, I didn't go there.
Let's be clear. In terms of the building steps that the NDP has to make, this will not be celebrated as a victory, but it won't be celebrated as a loss. I think people will be pleased that seats that were won in by-elections, many of them we've been able to hold on to. Yep. I think people will be generally pleased with the popular vote. There will be some questions in Toronto, but I think the bigger questions will be focused on what does the government do now? I mean, one of the things that was skipped over during this campaign, Ontario is, economically speaking, in very troubled times. Cities that generated thousands of jobs before and also generated a lot of taxes, both personal and corporate and sales taxes, are very hollowed out and simply don't pay those taxes anymore and don't generate those jobs. This is going to be a difficult time, and I don't think you're going to see the budget that was introduced 6 weeks ago being reintroduced after the election.
That's probably it for sure. Howard Anthony, thank you very much. Let's just go to the field. George Lagajanis.
Yeah, Stephen, thanks very much. It's kind of like pin drop politics here at Hudak headquarters. I've seen people shedding tears, kind of a funereal tone here, a real dark cloud cast over this room. Paul Godfrey, are you surprised at a Liberal majority government?
Well, I am surprised. There's no doubt about that. But in some ways, the people have spoken, and I think we got to respect that decision. And obviously, they've ran a wonderful campaign. It resonated with the people, and you got to tip your hat to them.
You know, minority governments are supposed to work. They keep the other parties honest. These last couple have not.
Well, no. In fact, I don't buy the fact that minority governments work at all. I think that politicians will always look to the calendar to when the next election is, and a minority government, the next election is always a couple of days away. So they always have to worry about that. I think we'll now have an opportunity of seeing 4 years of stable government. We'll see how Premier Wynne carries out her responsibilities. My guess is that she's going to have to tighten the purse strings a lot more than she did in the minority government because of the state of affairs of the financial conditions of the province of Ontario. Otherwise, the Standard & Poor's, Moody's will be downgrading the province's credit rating, and as a result, interest payments will be a lot higher on debt. We're going to have to get the debt down, and I think Premier Wynne is smart enough to recognize that. And my guess is when the next budget comes out, there'll be some a lot tougher information and policies in there than there was in the previous one.
Do you think ultimately it's kind of generalizing and broad stroke here, but do you think Wynne won it or did Hudak lose it?
No, I think, look, I always come from the point of view that people either vote for governments or against governments. And I think that that's been the history of what's gone on in Canada and in the province of Ontario. And I think credit to Kathleen Wynne. She won it.
People seem to like her.
Obviously. That's showed tonight. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Nice
Paul Godfrey. So maybe it was more about the economy versus the ethics, as the Liberals have now won a majority government. Big surprise to every single person in this room. Back to you.
George Lagajanis, thank you so much. We're going live now to NDP party headquarters with Rena here. It'll be interesting to see how Andrea Horwath interprets what Ontarians have said to her, to Hudak, and to Wynne.
Absolutely, Anne, and that's the big question of the night. I'm joined now by Carl Belanger, strategist at the federal level with the NDP. Thank you so much for joining us. We've declared a Liberal majority. You've been on Parliament Hill for 17, 18 years. You've talked about the fact that you just never know what's going to happen, and this evening you said, we have no idea what's going to happen. What do you think?
Well, what I do think right now is that Andrea Horwath ran a great campaign and she increased her share of the vote, and compared to the last general election, she increased her number of seats. So she was rewarded for her hard work, and I think that's important to note. Of course, we're a little disappointed that we are not forming government, but there's still more work to do, and we'll keep working hard.
Well, you're still at 21 seats so far, I mean, as what's projected, so really nothing for you has changed, aside from the fact that Andrea Horwath now no longer holds sort of maybe negotiating a power that she's had in the last 2 years, and she turned down a very NDP-friendly budget. How do you think this is going to play out for her?
Well, we'll have to see if the Liberals were genuine with the population with that budget, because evidently they will bring it back. If they do not bring it back, then I think there's a problem. We have a party that basically lied to the population about what they wanted to do. So we'll have to see. In terms of Horwath, I think she performed very well, and that's why she gained in the share of seats and in the share of votes.
All right, Carl Belanger, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. All right, Anne, back to you.
Rena here, thank you so much. And we are going to head back to Stephen LeDrew with the guests who have all kinds of interpretations about what happened tonight.
Well,
Hi, Stephen.
It's about what happened and also what's going to happen. And there are some comments there about the majority government, and the majority government, Paul Godfrey is saying, well, all politicians want a majority government. And he says it's the best way of government. Howard?
All politicians want a majority government, of course.
Yeah.
Because
now, what about for the people?
I think people will be shocked by some of the things that a majority government will do, because I don't think they were talked about in the campaign.
Like?
You can't continue to pile on $12 and $13 billion deficits. And I can tell you from people I've talked to that the cost pressures, for example, in the Ministry of Health continue to grow. Some cost pressures continue to grow in the Ministry of Education. There's this nasty situation out there where Ontario's electricity prices now are the highest in North America, and you have car parts plants saying we're not going to build anymore in Ontario. In fact, we may be looking to move out because we can't afford to pay these bills. These are really tough issues that are going to have to be confronted, and they weren't talked about very much in the campaign.
Frank, please. They were talked about in the campaign, but people still went with the Liberal government.
It's a sobering night for us. This is not good news for our party. Obviously, the message that we were delivering to people wasn't accepted, but let me say this. This is like the Christmas evening where the kids got showered with presents. And on January 31st, when the credit card bills came in, there was shock throughout the House. And what is going to happen here in this province, let's just wait to see what happens to this province's credit rating, knowing that we have a majority government that has a budget in place that is going to give us more burdens of debt, that's going to expand our debt, going to continue to spend money we don't have. This is a very sobering evening, Stephen.
Okay, let's just, while I go to George Smitherman, pay attention to this board. It's 57 Liberals now, 28 Conservatives, 22 NDP. It's going to be sobering for the Conservative leadership when they're separated from the NDP by 6. But George, dire predictions of what this government has to do. and maybe it's good that it's majority because they'll certainly have the authority to do it.
Well, I think that the fiscal dynamic, the economic challenges in Ontario are severe. There's hard work to be done, and it's more likely to be accomplished, I think, in a majority parliament. The Conservatives came up with a 2-year pay us down to balanced strategy. Both the NDP and the Liberals, if I'm right, said that they do that, in 3 years. In 2011, everybody had these projections about the year that we were going to come into balance. The clock is ticking towards those deadlines, and I think that it is going to be very, very hard work. So it may be sobering for the Conservatives to deal with their circumstances. This government will be excited tonight about the great honor that they've earned, and they'll get down to work on really, really tough challenges. And it's going to be a government that is going to be full of members who are working very hard to address challenges which are very, very significant.
Sobriety all around.
I think so.
Okay.
Stephen, can I just suggest one more time we're going to have a majority Liberal government that will not keep its promises, that has lied to the people of this province about what they're going to do. They will not be able to do it. It's tough times for sure.
The only thing I'll say, though, is that some of that partisan political tone, which in a minority is all there is the partisanship, has got to give way to this understanding across all sides of the legislature that these challenges are Ontario's to beat down.
Howard, I want you to comment on that when we come back. Back to you, Ann.
Gentlemen, thanks so much. We're live to Arda Zakari and Mitzi Hunter, not only the Liberal incumbent victorious, but also her party is going to form the majority government, Arda.
That's right, and we're here at a celebratory place for her at a banquet hall here in Scarborough, Guildwood. Mitzi, you got to tell me how it feels. All your supporters are here, your family's here.
It feels really awesome. I mean, this has been a long election, and the people of Ontario have spoken, and I'm just so proud to be re-elected as the MPP for Scarborough, Guildwood.
Tell me, what were you hearing from people out when you were campaigning?
You know, people really, they were concerned about the cuts that Mr. Hudak has proposed to the public sector. Those are services in my community that are very, very needed. And they also believed in the Liberal plan to move Ontario forward, to create jobs, to build transit, and to focus on education and skills building. So those messages really rung true for people here in Scarborough-Guildwood.
And hearing from just this audience here, I was hearing subways.
They want subways. The people of Scarborough need to have this infrastructure so that they can get around and get to work, get to school. It's very important for our community that we expand the transit system here in Scarborough.
And not only were you elected today, but also the Liberals have a majority government now.
That's phenomenal, and I'm just so proud of our Liberals and our Premier Kathleen Wynne, who fought really hard during this election and really have a plan that is inspiring the people of Ontario, and now we just have to go forward and get it done.
What does it take to get to this point right now?
You know, it really takes everyone coming together. I believe that we put forward a very clear plan for the province, making those right investments. Our economy is recovering from a global recession, and we need to keep moving forward, and we just can't take the risks that the other party were talking about. Really, we need to grow jobs in this province. We need to focus on education. We need to focus on those critical services that people need. And that's what we propose to do. So, and the people of Ontario have seen that plan, and now we have to go forward and implement it.
Now, taking a look around this room, seeing familiar faces, your friends, your families all here, what is this moment like for you?
Well, this is an amazing moment, and you know, it's very humbling as well as a candidate when so many people come out and volunteer and really support your campaign. And I know that I have worked with each and every person here during the campaign, and it feels really awesome that we can share this moment together.
Okay, thank you so much, Mitzi. I know you're going to, everyone is shouting speech, so I'm going to let you get onto that podium and deliver that speech that they've all been waiting for. Thank you so much. And there you go. Mitzi Hunter's about to go on that stage and deliver that speech. Back to you.
Arda, thank you very much. Let's go live right now to Travis Danraj at a Liberal kitchen party. So what happened when we declared a Liberal majority and they heard the news, Travis?
Hey, Yeah, absolutely. Hey there, Ann. You'll notice the kitchen is completely empty right now. That's because a lot of the folks here have been glued to the couch ever since we announced that there would be a Liberal majority. These guys went crazy. The room was electric. I'm here with Tiffany right now. Tiffany, how are you feeling when we announced that this was going to be a majority Liberal government?
Pretty fantastic, actually. I'm excited to see Kathleen Wynne finally get the opportunity to do some really progressive measures in Ontario that haven't been seen for a long time. So.
That's right. Yeah. And I know this was kind of known. There's a lot of teachers in this room, and this was kind of unofficially called the anti-Hudak party.
It was.
So tell me why you guys wanted to name it that.
Well, unfortunately, it seems that Tim Hudak is gunning for some measures that unfortunately will not be helpful for a lot of public sector workers and essentially for all of Ontario. So anti-Hudak seemed fitting for us.
So majority, did you think it would be a majority? Because I know that we were, wondering if it was going to be a minority government, conservative, liberal. Now it's a Liberal majority. This is a big win.
Well, I used to be an NDP supporter. The results of various candidates, I think that Kathleen Wynne has won over NDP supporters like myself, and so a majority government seems to be in her grasp.
All right, well, thank you. And so the mood here is still electric. The party's still going on. Lots of drinks. As you can see, everyone here very, very happy. We're going to check in with you guys throughout the evening.
All right, Travis, thank you. We're live to Gian Lee, Conservative Kitchen Party. Has anybody been able to explain what they think happened tonight, and are they talking about Tim Hudak's future?
Well, and everybody here in the riding of St. Paul's and at this particular kitchen party supporting the PCs are really quite shocked and stunned by the results tonight, especially the host, Travis Kahn. I know you were hoping for a PC. When are you stunned by the results of a Liberal majority?
Very, and I have to say I'm quite disappointed as well.
I mean, we knew it was going to be a tight race. At one point, it looked like Tim Hudak and the PCs were going to do well. What are your thoughts on tonight's race, and also, the PC candidate here in St. Paul's not doing well and not winning at all?
Well, it's always a tough go for a PC candidate in Toronto proper, right? And so Justine Deleuze put up a good campaign, and she deserves a lot of congratulations for that. She should be proud of herself. As for the overall result, I mean, ultimately the Ontario voters decided, but I think in the end, we're going to see Kathleen Wynne have to eventually move toward where Tim Hudak was, right? You can't overspend and continue to spend your way to prosperity, and so she's going to have to take a step back, take a look at what she's proposing, and we'll see where the future of Ontario goes.
Okay, thank you so much, Travis. And so, of course, you're a disappointed night in the riding of St. Paul's at this PC kitchen party. And so what do you do when you're feeling a little down? Well, you get some ice cream. So some of the guests here are actually going to go to the popular local ice cream spot down the street, Dutch Dreams, and we're all going to just have some ice cream and continue enjoying our night here at this PC kitchen party. And back to you.
Well, they call that a pint, yeah, whichever way you want to look at it. Thanks so much, G. NDP kitchen party, Jamie Goodfreund. How are people responding to what happened tonight?
Considering a lot of their candidates, did not walk away with the win, they're still feeling optimistic. We're joined by Larissa. Initial reaction to the Liberal majority.
Well, of course, being a volunteer with the NDP, I'm a bit disappointed, but the voters of Ontario have spoken, and we have to respect their choice.
Now, your candidate that you were working with, Alex Wilson, did not walk away with the win. But what are you hoping from the government moving forward?
Well, actually, being a physician in the Scarborough area, I hope that the Liberal majority government will invest more in the hospital infrastructure in Scarborough.
Thank you so much for your time. We've had a lot of first-time candidates coming out for this election. Alex Wilson, Jesse McCauley, Carol Baker, they're all here. Even though they didn't walk away with the win, though, they're still grateful for the support, and they're still hopefully optimistic for the Liberal government moving forward. For now, we're going to send it back to you in the newsroom.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. For live next to Christina Tenalia with Liberal Han Dong in Trinity Spadina. Hi, Christina.
Here at the new Liberal, I should say MPP for this riding, Han Dong's
campaign party. He's yet to arrive. This is his first time taking a shot at running for MPP. This riding has been held for the last 24 years by the NDP's Rosario Marquez, who has been ousted tonight. An upset for him. Let's bring in Jeff. Jeff, you're with Han Dong's campaign. What we know about Han is that he spent quite a few years at Queen's Park, working in Queen's Park. He's spent a long time in this community, but other than that, not a lot of people know. He's just ousted the incumbent who spent 24 years here. Just surprised? This has got to be shocking to quite a few people.
Well, part of me is surprised, but the other part is I was with Han Dong when he was canvassing the neighborhood. He's a person that's lived here for 13 years, and he's been at almost every door. So I'm surprised, like you, that, he's come out of nowhere and removed the incumbent. But the other part of me, I saw his hard work. That's not surprising. Hard work, shows the results.
Okay, Jeff, so the crowd here quite excited to learn that Han Dong is going to be going to Queen's Park. Not only his former role there, he was working behind the scenes now as an MPP. We're expecting him very soon. Back to you.
Christina Tanalia, thank you so much. It looks like a Liberal majority government. CP24 has declared that. And we are now going to go live to Kyle Christie with results beyond the GTA. And what's the picture painted right now, Kyle?
Yeah, let's take a look at the big picture. A lot coming in right now. So let's take a look. This is Southern Ontario. At the time the election was called, we'll watch it change with the results that have come in so far tonight. You see all those Liberal gains right around the GTA. That's where you see all that color change right now. Let's take a look at what's happened in Windsor tonight. Quite a story right here. Earlier tonight, we had one red and one orange, but the NDP are now taking both Windsor, Tecumseh, and Windsor West. Let's get a closer look at those results. So Windsor West, this is Dwight Duncan's former riding, but you can see right there, Percy Hatfield, he picked this up in a by-election. He hangs on to that seat tonight in Windsor, Tecumseh. The NDP easily won this seat in that by-election, and they easily won it again tonight. Right here in Windsor West, you can see right here Lisa Gretzky, whose husband, by the way, is a first cousin to Wayne Gretzky. She wins it tonight for the NDP, taking the seat away from Teresa Peruzza. She is a Liberal cabinet minister, was a Liberal cabinet minister, and at this point is the only cabinet minister to lose her seat in this election. In Barrie, here's a bit of an upset. We have Rod Jackson losing the seat for the PCs, and Hogarth winning this tonight for the Liberals. And we're seeing a similar story develop in Burlington tonight as well. Cambridge also going to the Liberals. Robin Sears is joining us now to give us some more perspective on this. So we take a look, Robin, at the way the province looked when this election was called, and there's a lot more red tonight. Let's talk a bit about the popular vote and where the Liberals picked up those seats.
Well, there are two ways of slicing the numbers, basically. One is geographically, the other is demographically. If you look at what the campaigns were trying to do, in the case of the Tories and the Liberals and the NDP this time, the NDP was very much targeting working class, more urban, less well-educated, less affluent voters. That was the whole populist message. So Windsor's not a surprise. That's where the demography and the geography come together. The Liberals and the Tories were fighting against each other for that same group of mostly suburban, small-town, ex-urban, independent, more affluent voters. And what's really bizarre about it is that the Liberal efficiency in the seats that they won is set against the fact that overall they didn't win so far more than 1% different vote than they did in 2011. It's 37.4 to 37 now.
Yeah, more seats that could change, but not by too much.
But not by much at this. We got 2/3 of the votes in now. Not much changes at this point in the night.
So then Cambridge, Burlington, Barrie, Liberal wins there tonight. Is that a surprise?
Yes, but it's all in the vagaries of a first-past-the-post system. When you look at Ottawa, where the Tories expected to pick up several seats, they didn't, because they were losing by 500, 1,000, 1,500. That's the kind of thing that happens when the slices are as narrow as this.
And we were talking about Teresa Peruzza in Windsor losing her seat, the only cabinet minister not to be re-elected. Are you surprised about that, or are you surprised that all of the other cabinet ministers keep their riding?
Well, if you were to lose many cabinet ministers in a night, you go from minority to majority. That would be a bit strange. What is surprising to me is that the Tories did so poorly in seats and the NDP did so well. If you had asked me what I would have thought would have happened with the Liberal minority, the NDP would normally have been crushed, and the Tories would have done better in second place. The fact that they haven't is very bad news for Tim Hudak. I would not be surprised to see him resign even tonight.
So the pollsters who said the NDP were going to fare quite well, they were right.
in seats, but we have yet to see what that actually means in terms of votes. And we always think of the seats, but, you know, it's important to remember how many Ontarians as a whole voted for which party. And tonight is not hugely different than 2011.
No, exactly. And as we take a look at the map, we were saying that you see more of those Liberal seats right around the GTA. And then, as mentioned, the one loss in Windsor now going to the NDP tonight as well. We'll send it back to the desk.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Christy, let's go live right now to George Logojanis with the leader of the PC party, and we're understanding that he may be making an appearance in about 30 minutes, George.
Yes. Yeah, about half an hour we're expecting Tim Hudak to arrive here at his party headquarters in Grimsby. Right now we're going to speak with Will Stewart, Director of Media. So we've only had a little bit of time to marinate and sort of allow this thing to sort of wash over you. How much was this a win for Kathleen Wynne, or how much was it a loss for your party?
Well, I think it's difficult. I think we'll have to take a look at it and figure out where things went wrong once all the votes are in and with the fullness of time. But, you know, we ran a campaign that we wanted to run. We set out to set the agenda on this campaign. We did that. We're very proud of the way that we ran this campaign. Very proud of Tim Hudak and his confidence and his focus throughout this campaign. He served us more than well, did more than his fair share of the battle on this, and very happy with Tim.
Does this change his status right now? What do you think is going to happen up on that stage in about half an hour?
I don't know. I'll find out. I'll find out when you do. But if Tim Hudak wants to have me back to do this again, I'll charge right into battle with him again. No questions asked. He's a great man, a great friend, and I do it all over again in a heartbeat.
The ethics were a big part of this whole thing from the Wynne camp. Do you think this vote means that Ontarians felt that she had plausible deniability when it came to the gas plant scandal and all that money blown?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to have to look and see what Ontarians actually said throughout all this. It's challenging when the Liberal Party has the record that they do to see this happen again. I think we were honest with Ontario about what it would take to get back to prosperity. I think we took that message to Ontarians, and the NDP and the Liberals chose to attack our message rather than talk about their message. And I think that's what we're going to have to see now, is what type of a message are they actually going to bring to office.
And just last thing on a broad scope here. When you talk about elections, and really not all that much changed, frankly. A lot of money was spent on it. Can you understand why people maybe become a little bit disenfranchised with politics when all of this, $90 million bucks for what?
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it? And I think that's what democracy is, though, right? And I think it's not just the official money that we talk about here, but of course there's all sorts of third-party registered advertisers, 20-odd unions running ads throughout this campaign. It's a lot of money and a lot of effort that goes into these things, but it is the democratic process. And at the end of the day, the people cast their ballots, and the people get to make the choice, and that's what we have to live with.
Well, Stuart, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Again, Tim Hudak, party leader, will be here in about a half hour's time. Back to you.
And we'll be taking that live. Thank you, George Logojanis. Next to Rena here live at the NDP party headquarters. And you have to wonder if, at this point, Andrea Horwath, Rena, regrets triggering this election.
That is the question of the night. Joining me now is NDP MP Wayne Marston. Thank you so much for being here. And that's sort of the big question of the night tonight. At 22 seats, not that much is unchanged for the NDP of Ontario. Was this the right call? When you think back to Andrea not supporting that budget, how do you think she's feeling about that tonight?
I really don't know how she's feeling, because I didn't have in front of me, you know, what made her make the decision, so I can't evaluate it pro or con. But I can tell you right now, it looks like we increased our popular vote from what I'm seeing. We picked up a seat. We lost one of our longtime representatives. That's sad. But the reality is this government was propped up over a year ago. They promised 4 things. They didn't deliver 3. She had in front of her a budget that she couldn't be sure that they would deliver on. So she decided to allow the people of Ontario to make a decision.
Now, we saw in some polls that NDP and Andrea specifically seemed to be connecting well with voters, that she was personable on the campaign trail. She certainly spent a lot of time on the campaign trail, Main Streeting, perhaps a little bit more than most leaders. So why didn't that translate at the polls, or why isn't that translating at the polls? Because the final results aren't in yet.
I think the major failure tonight is Tim Hudak and the plan he put before Ontarians, which scared many people, and a lot of the PC vote, the loose vote, went to the Liberals. It's pretty clear.
All right. Now, there certainly the MC for the night is going through the list of MPPs that have been re-elected to their seats. But you talked about Rosario Marchese. You talked about the fact that he is not leading in that riding. So it looks like it might be a loss.
Well, it's disappointing. He's a very hard-working individual. if he doesn't retain his seat, we'll be sad.
All right, thank you so much for that, Wayne. Back to you.
Rena here, thank you so much. Let's go upstairs and check in live with Farah Nasser at the party. So some will be raising a glass in celebration, others will be crying in their beer.
Well, we are talking Toronto.
And now let's go live to Carmen Wong at the Sheraton Centre and waiting to hear from the Premier-elect Kathleen Wynne after a solid victory tonight, Carmen.
And if you can hear the music playing right now, they're playing Celebrate. I bet that's what a lot of Liberals here at Kathleen Wynne's victory party celebration are going to be doing. I've got Saloni Warwich here. She's the Ontario Liberal Party president. What do you think it was, if there's any one thing you could pinpoint that has led to this victory tonight?
Well, I can't say it's one thing. The two, I would say, is most obviously our leader. She was fresh, she was refreshing, she was motivating to our grassroots organizations. Her authenticity was definitely there, and that's what appealed to the voters. The voters obviously spoke today, loudly and clearly with that majority. And the second point is exactly what we knew was going to happen. We had to get out the vote on the ground, and I'm very proud of our 107 candidates and our thousands of volunteers. They were clearly hungry and knocked on many doors today. Thank you.
All right, Saloni, thank you so much. And so typically what happens is the winner will come out to speak after they've heard the concession speeches. That's typically what happens. So we'll let you know as soon as we hear of when Kathleen Wynne might be coming down. Back to you.
And she doesn't have far to travel. She's staying in that hotel. Thank you so much, Carmen Wong. Let's go upstairs now and check in on the party. How are people reacting to this massive victory tonight for the Liberals?
Just a surprise, Anne. People are just really surprised, and I think that's probably reflected all across the city. And the city is what I want to talk about to you, Anne, because if you are a commuter, if you sit on the Gardiner Expressway for long periods of time, or if you are in a subway and it's too crowded to get on, you want to know what this means for you and your commute. So I'm joined by two people who represent the city. First of all, we have John Parker. Councillor John Parker represents Don Valley West, but I want to start with Jennifer Keesmaat. She's the Chief Planner for the City of Toronto. Jennifer, let me pose this question to you. What does this mean for Toronto and specifically traffic in Toronto?
Well, the Liberal Party really had a platform that was the most clear when it came to urban issues, and in particular their approach to addressing transit and congestion by investing $29 billion over a 10-year period. They had a detailed financial plan in terms of how they were going to do that. Some of the other parties were talking about changing that plan, doing something different. I think this is a pretty clear message to go ahead and move forward with those investments in transit. They also had a plan that related to cycling, the only party that had a cycling plan. This is relevant in Ottawa, it's relevant in Mississauga, it's relevant in Brampton, and it's definitely relevant in Toronto. So there's monies and dollars that are allocated to recognizing transit as a critical part of our movement infrastructure. That is a really big shift. And then lastly, there's the Green Belt. The Liberals had a very clear and strong platform around continuing to protect and even expand the Green Belt. The way we do that is by ensuring that we're creating good frameworks for urban intensification, more development in places that are already built up. So I think this is a pretty clear message that those directions and those policies, which are really about focusing on how you can make cities very urban places, this is a really strong message. Go ahead, do the job that needs to be done.
Okay, Jennifer, thanks. Now I'll pose the question to you. How is the city, John, going to work with the province?
Oh, I think the city would have worked closely with whoever formed the government. We worked well with them, and we've worked well with this government, and we'll continue to work well with them. The commitment to sustained transit funding is most welcome. The problem, amongst the problems we've had with transit, is that major projects can only be funded from higher levels of government, and historically they've been one-off projects, typically announced at budget time as a surprise to everyone. What we have in this case is a government that is committed. We'll see if they follow through on this, but they're committed to steady, sustained funding over a measurable period of time. We haven't had that. We need that. So we'll hope that they can follow through on that.
Okay, thank you both. So we will be watching. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that. We're live to Anika Elliott and victory for Liberal Peter Milchin. Anika.
That's right, and the Etobicoke Lakeshore, the riding has gone back to the Liberals. It has been such a battle between Peter Milchin and Doug Holliday, and of course Doug Holliday won the by-election 9 months ago, and now Peter Milchin able to regain the seat for the Liberals. We are here now at the victory party with some supporters right now. Hey everybody, you're live on CP24. How are you feeling about this victory?
We're feeling very excited because Peter won, and we are all his supporters. We are in the community lecture and Etobicoke lecture. We are all his supporters, so we are very excited tonight. Very excited.
Let's talk about why you're so supportive of Peter Milchin. We've got a baby here in a Liberal T-shirt.
He's a very liberal here, and we know so long Peter is a nice person, and I hope we all love him and his success.
And were you worried at all? Was there any concern that this was not going to be the outcome?
No.
No, well, we were worried that it was going to be a tight race, but that's not how it turned out. It's fantastic. We're so happy for Peter.
Yeah, exactly. Happy for Peter. Very happy. Very nice person. He deserved this, really. He deserved.
Kathleen Wynne had a reasonable plan for the province, and Hudak was scary. And this shows that people in Toronto don't like scary. So this is a very positive result, not just for Etobicoke Lakeshore, but the whole province.
That's right, that's right.
And this Etobicoke Lakeshore riding, it has a history of voting with the political trends, has a history of voting with the winning parties, and so this is the outcome here at Etobicoke Lakeshore. We're now waiting for Peter Milchin to arrive into the room here at the E-Zone on North Queen, and of course once he arrives he's going to be giving a speech to his many supporters who have gathered here at this victory party now. Back to you.
All right, Anika, thanks so much. I'm excited to see what's happening in terms of backstage pass. Let's go live to Kevin Newman. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Ann. Well, there was this amazing moment a couple of minutes ago. We went inside the left here. This is the CTV News decision desk. This is a live picture that we headed there. And we got the moment when Anton Kashani and Dave Quantz declared the Liberal majority government. You saw Anton literally run out of the room. And then we went over to the CP24 control room, and we saw the phone call be received to the CP24 control room saying it's a Liberal majority government. And then we flipped to you declaring the Liberal majority government. The whole sequence happening on the backstage pass in about 15 seconds. That's how fast it went from the decision desk to the control room to in your ear, Ann, and out. And so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to link by FaceTime with Anton Kashani, who's the executive producer of the CTV News coverage, because I want to find out just how that decision was made and get some details of it. So that, if you want to find out and see whether or not I'm able to link with Anton, CP24.com or KNLive.com as well as streaming. It's been a really interesting night and a really interesting look into the process of putting together an election special.
All right, Kevin Newman, thanks so much. We're live next to Stephen LeDrew, and it's interesting because George Smitherman, you know, I mean, as red as he is, he called it pretty much himself as well, Stephen.
Robin Sears has an issue with that. George Smitherman, Howard Hampton, Robin Sears. Let's just talk about the underlying shifts, if there are any, what's going on. We know that the Liberals expanded in the GTA. I mean, the urban shift there. Windsor, well, it's a different matter. But, I mean, are we looking at a rural versus an urban vote? Robin?
I think you also have to look at it demographically, the kinds of voters, no matter where they lived, and the choices they made. The NDP targeted their campaign very much at a working class, lower income, less educated, new Canadian audience, and that paid off for them. Windsor's a classic example, Hamilton's another. They held on to most of the seats in Toronto. Where it didn't work for them.
And they lost seats in Toronto.
They lost two, but yes, but they should have, in this kind of a night, normally have lost a lot more, I would argue. I guess what I find interesting about this is that you would never normally see the NDP going up when the Liberals are winning a majority, because typically they get caught between the Liberals and the Tories. Tonight, the Tories are the losers.
Okay, let's just put this board up now. It has the leaders, and 58, 28, 21. I mean, it must be just devastating for Tim Hudak. The Tories, the Liberals, so and the NDP so close to them.
I don't think Tim has a long future.
Yeah.
You know, so in some sense,
George?
the blessing is it makes the choice for him easier.
Yeah.
And, well, you know,
it would have been easier if he had lost his own riding.
That's the easiest.
Yes, that's the best
easiest,
for a
naturally.
leader who has lost.
Yeah. I think it's interesting is that we can characterize the GTA as urban if you want, but Liberals have picked up seats in the most rural, what we might refer to as the countryside parts of the GTA tonight. In Durham, which I'm still awestruck about. The Liberals are ahead. In Halton, they've won very, very handily. They've returned to Barrie, and I think that these are interesting reaches beyond the GTA. Or at least beyond the urban bits of it that most people wouldn't have predicted.
Okay, we have a board up now with the GTA. I'm just trying to study it with the popular vote, 46 Liberal, 20 NDP, 28 PC, and look at the seats though. I mean, it's just it's out of proportion, which shows that the Liberals they spread their votes around quite well, George.
Very efficient. There was
tremendous
vote efficiency for the Liberals tonight, and there wasn't in 2011.
You know, there's a pressure that comes with that, too. The NDP only have to campaign in a few places. When you're a party that spreads your votes around, it's harder to resource that. That's why you sometimes see parties do very well in by-elections, unable to hold on to those results in general elections. The capacity of New Democrats to concentrate resources in fewer places is also something that, in a certain sense, is strategically helpful to them.
But you look at the flip side of that. The Tories had a terribly inefficient vote tonight. They should not have suffered as badly in terms of seat count if there was any fairness to the system.
Well, is it the fairness to the system or where the leader is spending his priorities? We don't know that, but we'll come back. You'll get an answer. Howard, I have to hold on for that one. I'll come right back first to you when we come back here. And back to you. All
right, we're heading live to Grimsby. George Logojanis is waiting for PC leader Tim Hudak, and you've got to wonder what his message will be tonight, George. And there is Tim Hudak arriving, and George?
Yeah, that is the big question, Ann. We're inside of the back of the hall here at the community center, the Mountain Ridge Community Center here in Grimsby. It's a very humble hall, and I'm hearing that Tim is actually walking through the back door. You know, everyone said the consensus was he won the debate, but it just did not translate into votes tonight. An ambitious guy for sure, an ego. I mean, these are not pejorative terms for Tim Hudak, a strong politician. Many people feel he engineered John Tory's demise to get the job, but you know, no prints on him. He's clean with that regard. Strong political pedigree, right-wing kind of guy. Persuasion was to follow the Milton Friedman Chicago school kind of laissez-faire thing, less government, less tax. He strategized for this election with a lot of Republican and Tea Party spin doctors and consultants in the States. Even people like Grover Nordquist with that taxpayer protection pledge. In fact, that ended up being kind of the template for his oath to Ontarians. And he is the one of the three leaders who actually made a lot of big promises during this campaign, saying that he would get all of his MPPs, if he won, to sign an oath saying that he wouldn't raise taxes. And if they did, then they'd have to either lose their job or take a big pay cut. He even said himself that if he won, he'd quit if he didn't stand up to his policies. Now the crowd starting to clap here. We're getting a cue that Tim will be coming in any minute. Did he overpromise and underdeliver? Well, the polls seem to suggest that's the case, and here's Tim Hudak. Tim, how do you feel?
Good seeing you guys. Safe being part of the campaign.
Tim's going to make his way to the stage now. The consensus is he's going to make a proud speech tonight, but no one really knows exactly how it's going to play. I've been hearing a lot of spin around this room that it might be time for him to step down. Who knows how this is going to play out for Tim Hudak. This is his second election loss, and in this dirty game of politics, you don't get a lot of third chances. Typically, it's 3 strikes you're out. It might be 2 for Tim Hudak. This crowd, it's the loudest we've heard that we haven't been hearing any noise. It was pin drop in here almost all night long. In fact, we even heard and saw a lot of people shedding tears when the early results came out. Tim Hudak's on stage now with his wife Deborah, about to make a speech to his constituents here in Grimsby. Let's let this breathe and let's listen to Tim Hudak.
it is great to be back home in Niagara. I want to thank you all very much for being here to greet Debbie and I tonight, and let me say right off the top, I want to thank the people of Niagara West Glanbrook for once again giving me the honor. I want to thank the hardworking people of Niagara West Glanbrook for giving me the honor of representing the men again at Queen's Park. I've spent the past 6 weeks, as I've spent the last 5 years, traveling around this amazing province, and most importantly, talking with men and women from every walk of life about the challenges they face and the hopes that they all have for a brighter future. This has been a long campaign, and without question, it has been a hard-fought campaign. We did not receive the results that we had wanted. But let me tell you this. I could not be more proud of the work of our team and the positive message of hope and jobs and change that we offer. A few minutes ago, I spoke with Kathleen Wynne, and I congratulated her on her win tonight. Ms. Wynne and the Liberals have won the election, so they will have the opportunity to deliver the change that Ontario so clearly needs. I also spoke with Andrea Horwath and congratulated her on a strong and respectful campaign that put a real focus on government accountability. Nobody should mistake this result as an endorsement of the status quo. Kathleen Wynne promised very different behavior from what we've seen these past 11 years. She will be held accountable if she does not deliver on that change. Ontario families rightly expect to see a level of transparency and a standard of conduct that is dramatically different from the Liberal record of these past years. They expect a government we can afford and an end to wasteful bureaucracy. And most of all, they expect a government that is going to focus on creating jobs above all else. Friends, I am immensely and will forever be proud of the campaign we ran and the clear vision of hope that we put before the people of the great province of Ontario. Our PC team and every party has a responsibility to work constructively in the legislature on behalf of the people that we all represent. And we have a responsibility to stay true. Stay true to what the voters sent us to Queen's Park to do. Our team will put private sector job creation first in every decision, because turning around Ontario's jobs crisis is the only way to get real security and prosperity for all Ontario families, and the only way we can pay for the services we depend upon. We will work towards a government that lives within its means, because there is no compassion in borrowing from our children to fund out-of-control spending today. I am proud of what our team has accomplished, and I am optimistic about our party's future. But I will not be leading the Ontario PC Party into the next election campaign. I will meet with the caucus and the party executive in the coming days to begin the process of selecting a new leader. I will lead our party and our caucus only until that new leader is selected. But I will do so knowing that the Ontario PC Party remains strong. We have a talented, dedicated, committed caucus. We have rebuilt our party's grassroots organization. We have put important issues on the public agenda, especially job creation and affordable government. And to good people of Niagara West Glanbrook. And I will continue to earn your trust as your member of provincial parliament and will represent you for the cause for which you elected me. I want to thank, across this province, all of our candidates, our caucus, our donors, and particularly all of the hardworking, dedicated campaign workers from Fort Erie to Kenora to Ottawa. You made me damn proud, and I appreciate how hard you work. And I especially want to thank my family, my beautiful wife, Debbie. My beautiful wife, Debbie, my gorgeous, fun daughters, Miller and Maitland, who have stood by me through thick and thin. They have offered tremendous support in a campaign and job that, quite frankly, keeps me too often too far away from home. We ran a campaign of hope because I have boundless hope for Ontario and for our people. Ontario faces real economic and fiscal challenges, and they won't go away just because the election campaign has ended. But the people of Ontario have determination and skill and compassion, and I am absolutely convinced that with the right change from government, that Ontario can lead again. Friends, thank you for all your commitment. Thank you for believing in the brightest of futures. And I want to thank everyone in Ontario. I truly believe that our best days are yet to come. Friends, thank you very much. God bless. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support.
Well, Stephen Ledrew, a move that was anticipated by many, but when you actually hear it, and from Tim Hudak, you know, it certainly caught a lot of people by surprise.
Well, a lot of people, and our panel here would have expected him to do that. In other words, if you're defeated like this, it's the right thing to do. It's also probably the most, in one hand, the most painful thing to do. But again, the right thing to do, and it could have only been made easier, I guess, gentlemen, if he had lost his seat. But that's not always the case. Let's just talk about how this changes Ontario politics. The Tories are going to be going through a leadership. Robin, it's a huge deal for the Conservative Party. There's going to be some bloodletting.
But less than there would have been if he hadn't done the right thing tonight. I mean, it's always wrong for a leader in a circumstance like this, as Michael Ignatieff was tempted to do, to hang on.
Let's just, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. We're watching Andrea Horwath coming up. It's a live shot of her coming into what I suspect is the party room in the hotel where she is in Stony Creek. She's smiling. Let's just watch her in. See the reception that she gets when she walks into that room.
It'll be very good. There's a lot to be proud of.
Well, obviously, it's a long haul. We're between the stairs and the party room. So we're just looking at some of the, let's just talk about some of the ridings yet. You just said in the Beach, Michael Proulx, former mayor of East York, former NDP sitting MPP, and it looks like Arthur Potts, the Liberal candidate, is ahead by 100 votes, did you say?
60 votes.
60 votes, Howard? Yeah, so that's very, very close. And is this, so Rena is at this headquarters right now. Rena?
Very much for that, Stephen. We are waiting for Andrea Horwath to make her way in.
Hello again.
And if you take a look at the room, there is that corner to my left where she is expected to enter. Now Andrea Horwath has also said she will not be doing one-on-ones. She will not be speaking to the media. Instead, she will actually make her speech, and then she says she will scrum here in the center of the floor. So that's what we're expecting to happen. Right now, we're listening to MP David Christopherson, who's also the MC for the evening, speaking here now. And when we've spoken to people here today, they said they are disappointed that the seat count for the NDP has not shifted as much as they'd hoped. Also, not commenting much on what this means for the NDP and for Andrea Horwath going forward. At one point, Andrea Horwath certainly held a lot more negotiating power, and that may change after tonight. Let's listen in.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. I much appreciate it. Friends, today thousands of you voted for change that makes sense. You elected new Democrat MPPs who will work hard for you to deliver change and stand up for their communities. Now, I know that many of you here tonight worked so hard and so tirelessly. And I know that you did an amazing amount of work. Thank you. And I know that perhaps people weren't hoping for this particular result tonight, but New Democrats are fighters, and we are going to keep fighting for the things that matter most. For the things that matter most for the families in Ontario. You know, not too long ago, just a few minutes ago, I spoke to Kathleen Wynne and I congratulated her. Our team of New Democrats are going to work with all MPPs to deliver results for people and to make government work and keep it accountable. We have been very clear about our priorities during this campaign, and thousands of Ontarians told us today that they are counting on us to act on those priorities, to make life more affordable, to create jobs and protect services, and that is exactly what we are going to do. New Democrat MPPs will work day in and day out to hold the government accountable and deliver change that makes sense. I also want to take a moment to pay tribute to everyone who ran as a candidate in this election, as a New Democrat or for another party. I'd like to offer my congratulations to those who were elected and my consolation to those who were not. You know, putting your name forward on that ballot takes a lot of personal sacrifice, no matter which party you run for. And the thousands of volunteers who worked in ridings across the province, I want to thank you as well. I know that you live busy lives, you have families to take care of and jobs to do. But literally, our democracy depends on you choosing to spend some of your time knocking on doors, making phone calls, and spreading the word. I want to thank my own family, who are here, for supporting me as well, and for sharing me with the entire province. And of course, I want to thank the voters of Hamilton Centre, who have chosen once again to put their confidence in me. It truly is an honor. It truly is an honor to work for you and to be your voice at Queen's Park. Tomorrow morning, we apply ourselves to the job people have given us. They've given us a mandate to do a particular job, and that is delivering change that makes sense for this province, and I'm proud to be able to do that on behalf of all of you and all of those people that voted NDP in this campaign. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.